What if the most controversial science in history isn't a science at all? What if it's a warning? In this video, we are going to pull back the curtain on a practice that predates modern science by 20,000 years. We will show you the biological data that explains why it works, the physics that proves we are connected, and the reason why, despite centuries of attempts to crush it, it refuses to die. Because, make no mistake, powerful forces have tried to crush it. In the Bible, Isaiah 47:13 mocks the monthly prognosticators, warning Babylon that their stargazers could not save them. In 1586, the church banned it as dangerous. During the Enlightenment, the scientific community laughed it out of the room. And yet, it persists. Why? Why does a 2024 Harris poll show that 83% of millennials now believe in it? Why is it woven into the calendar of the Chinese economy? Why does the Hindu culture not marry without consulting it? And why did J.P. Morgan, the father of American banking, a man of steel and railways, famously say, "Millionaires don't use astrology. Billionaires do"? Was he delusional? Or did he have a tool that the rest of us have forgotten how to use? Is it a superstition? Or is it a survival mechanism? To find the answer, we have to stop looking at the horoscope and start looking at the biology. Because whether you believe in astrology or not, this one fact cannot be denied. You are made of stars. This is not a metaphor. This is astrophysics. Carl Sagan said it best. The nitrogen in our DNA, the calcium in our teeth, the iron in our blood were all made in stars. In other words, your body is not separate from the universe. It is constructed out of the universe. So if the stars are inside your bones, inside your blood, why would it be irrational to imagine they might influence your mind? Inside the human brain, scientists have discovered tiny crystals of magnetite. This is the same material birds use to navigate the Earth's magnetic field. That means your brain is biologically tuned to interact with cosmic forces. Your brain is not isolated. It is responsive to electromagnetic frequencies, gravitational pulls, and solar radiation. We already accept this in other forms. We accept that the moon affects the tides. We accept that the sun affects our sleep. In 2017, the Nobel Prize in Medicine was awarded to 3 scientists who discovered the molecular mechanism of the circadian rhythm. They proved that every cell in your body has a clock inside it, synchronized to the rotation of the Earth. That is not magic, that is biology. But ancient cultures didn't call it circadian rhythm or heliobiology. They called it astrology. And they didn't just use it to plant crops. They used it to run empires. History attributes the Nazis' terrifying rise to power to military strategy and brute force. But hidden in the declassified files is a stranger truth. Joseph Goebbels, the Minister of Propaganda, employed a team of astrologers to create psychological warfare. He knew that humans were driven by hidden emotional cycles. He used forged astrological prophecies to demoralize enemy nations, knowing that if he could align his message with their deepest fears, they would crumble without a fight. The British intelligence, MI5, was so convinced that the German High Command was timing their moves to the stars that they hired their own astrologer, a man named Louis de Wohl, to hack Hitler's charts and predict his next move. Think about that. The fate of the free world, partially bet on a horoscope. And it didn't end there. For 8 years, Ronald Reagan, the leader of the free world, did not make a major schedule change without consulting a woman named Joan Quigley.
What we wanted to accomplish. And I also changed their evil empire attitude by briefing them on Gorbachev's horoscope. By the time we were working on the Washington summit,
after the assassination attempt in 1981, First Lady Nancy Reagan demanded that the president's travel schedule be cleared by Quigley's chart. When this leaked in 1988, the media laughed. But think about it. The Cold War, nuclear disarmament, the fate of the global economy, all of it was being timed to the rhythm of the planets. Were they crazy? Or were they simply listening to a clock that the rest of us couldn't hear? This brings us to the most uncomfortable question of all. Is there actual proof? Not stories, not beliefs, data. Enter the Mars effect. In the mid-20th century, a French statistician named Michel Gauquelin set out to disprove astrology once and for all. He wasn't a mystic, he was a man of numbers. He analyzed the birth data of over 20,000 people, looking for patterns that shouldn't exist. He expected to find nothing. Instead, he found an anomaly that he couldn't explain away. He discovered that an overwhelming number of elite athletes, world champions, Olympians, were born just after the planet Mars rose above the horizon in what astrologers call the 12th sector and the 9th sector. He checked the math again. The pattern held. He checked it against scientists. They showed a statistical spike with Saturn. Actors, a spike with Jupiter. Gauquelin tried to publish his findings. The scientific community panicked. They accused him of fraud. They said he manipulated the data. For decades, they fought him. They launched new studies to debunk him. But again and again, the sectors kept appearing in the data.
How can this be? The stellar data aligns.
One scientist involved in reviewing the work later admitted the terrifying truth. The problem was not that astrology failed. The problem was that astrology might be true. And if it were true, it would threaten what we think we know about free will. This is why the establishment fights it. If the position of Mars at the moment of your birth correlates to your drive, your aggression, your potential for greatness, then you are not a random accident. You are part of a design. So why don't you know this? Why is the first thing you think of when you hear the word astrology a horoscope in a newspaper? Because for the last 100 years you have been sold a lie. A newspaper editor in London wanted to sell more papers. He asked an astrologer to write a column about the birth of Princess Margaret. It was a hit, but the editor got greedy. He wanted a column that everyone could read, every single day. But real astrology is complex. It involves geometry, latitude, and exact timing. You can't print that for millions of people. So they simplified it. They erased the moon. They erased the rising sign. They erased the geometry. They reduced the entire complexity of the human soul down to one single data point, the sun sign. This is the pop astrology we see today. You are a Leo, so you are proud. You are a Gemini, so you are two-faced. It is vague. It is generic. And frankly, it is nonsense. Real astrology is not a fortune cookie. It is a clock. And in the ancient world, it was the most advanced technology on Earth. In 1901, divers off the coast of Greece discovered a lump of corroded bronze in a shipwreck. It sat in a museum for decades, ignored. When scientists finally X-rayed it, they froze. It contained gears, differential gears, precision engineering that history said shouldn't exist for another 1,000 years. It was called the Antikythera mechanism, and it wasn't a clock. It was an analog computer designed to track the cycles of the solar system, the eclipses, and the zodiac. Why would primitive people build the most complex machine of their era just to track superstitions? They wouldn't. They built it because their survival depended on it. Before you go, hit like and subscribe so you don't miss the next episode. Because we're not just talking history. We're going to test astrology against science, patterns, psychology, probability, and what modern research actually says. Then we go deeper. Ancient rituals, royal courts, and secret societies, sacrifice and superstition, and how every culture, from cave art to native sky stories, used the stars to explain fate, fear, and power. Subscribe now. Episode 2 is where it gets real.